This week's video is comprised of outtakes, little bits that didn't make their way into videos. Despite how random it is, I think it's pretty good. Thanks for being here this week. I love you all. God bless, and welcome. I watch myself every day, objectively. I think we can't help but have an identity. Maybe when we're very young, we don't have it yet. We exist as free as wild animals. And then we're conditioned, or we're shamed and judged, and we build an identity. I think some call it the ego, and it grows stronger and further away from the wild, free, and content original being that you were born as. And this identity is the source of unhappiness. This identity is based on ideas and concepts of man, not of God, not of nature. And it's an unsatisfied idea, the idea of the self, the separate self from the rest of reality and everything within it. But it's not the true self. In a past video I said something like, ignore thyself. I think in the Bible it says, know thyself. But we have to define the self. Is it the self as in you're being selfish? Or is it the self as in the original consciousness, the original awareness, that I believe is the same awareness running through everything? And I think it's the true self, the one that doesn't perish. Otherwise we, our flesh and our self, the false self that we have created, that we have been molded into, that we cling to, is disposable. You might leave some things behind, but otherwise everything returns to the source in which everything arises from. And so again, I have not liberated myself of this false identity and all the emotions, the chattering of the mind, and the potential for unhappiness if we identify with the wrong self. And I have my foot in both worlds. I try to do things and everything falls apart, like all of us. And I push on, and another part of me, what I believe is the true self, just watches. Sometimes it feels like a parent watching over us. But yet it's us. It's a part of us. There's the part of you that is silent and watches, and the part of you that struggles to survive, both as a mind entity and a body. And I don't suggest we renounce our worldly affairs, although you may, or many of them. But more importantly, to recognize that this is only one self, and perhaps a lot of it in vain. I think the most important things in life are peace and well-being, and these exist, always. Recently, I've learned a technique from an old story, an old Buddhist story, and it's very helpful. You'll begin feeling emotions and thinking thoughts. It's the nature of the false self. It took a long time for it to develop, so we need some kind of practice to unwind this programming and the grip that it has on us. So, I'll give an example. I'll suddenly become flooded with emotions over the loss of my cat. And I welcome the emotions to a certain point, and then I use this technique. It could be anything. Somebody could cut you off in traffic, and you can use this mantra. And I think it is one self speaking to the other self, both existing within us. And I found the more that I do it, the more that it arises when it needs to. So the emotion wells up, and if you're still alive, you will have emotions, good and bad. This more pertains to the heavier ones. You ask yourself, how am I? How are you? And no matter what, you will say, I am satisfied. All is well. I have no complaints. Now this is a biggie. Because if you're human, you most likely have 10,000 complaints. And certainly as this emotion rises, you will have a complaint. But it asks, how are you in this moment? Not the moment before when you got upset, but in this moment. If we can even ask this question, we have shifted time. We are now in the next moment. And we say, at this moment, sometimes I'll say it 2 or 3 times, just to really find that next moment. In this moment, I have no complaints. I am satisfied. You could tweak it a little. I've added thank you. Because in the next moment, that past emotion or situation doesn't exist. Whether you carry it on forever is your choice. Or you could use this mantra. At this moment, I have no complaints. At this moment, I am satisfied. Thank you. So if all this is true, the places of refuge, the safe havens in which these controlling entities may have emerged from will still be there. Probably access at several points, potentially thousands. Many have been sealed shut, as we see in our research. But no doubt, I'm sure plans not only continue, but are adapted to fit the current times. So that's the problem, the system of control. It's like a big company store. In the past, people worked for companies, and the companies would have stores. And pretty soon, the people would be in debt to the store. Just keep working for these companies to pay for their tab. And that's how our system is set up. You're born into a company store, and nothing is free. Long gone is the Native American idea that nobody could own the land. Long gone is the idea that God gave man the land. Now it's all been chopped up, separated, and nobody gets a piece for free. And if you want to buy a home today, it will cost 50% your income. So 50% of all the energy you put forth will go to a roof over your head, a place to sleep. They say the average income in America is 100,000. I don't really understand how that is. It's quite a lot, in my opinion. But the sad thing is, it almost needs to be that. I mean, if you're gonna buy a house, for example, and is it worth it? Now, I love talking about cosmology. Before I ever made one video, I spent years researching cosmology and the new facts that were coming out about our realm. My favorite was curvature and all the examples where we could see for hundreds of miles. And yet, according to the curvature calculations we're given by mainstream experts, it should not be possible. The curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared, is what we're told. So every mile you look out, it should drop 8 inches squared, times 2 now, because it's curving over more rapidly, if you were to believe that. And I say if you were, because that's not what we see. We have examples that we can see with our own eyes that shatter this notion. And I think that's the first part of research, perhaps popping a bubble. Honestly, you kind of don't want to pop the bubble, at least at first. It's pretty scary. It changes your whole view of reality. But after a while, you become accustomed with your newfound truth. Another thing I can see with my own eyes every day, or mostly, depending on the cycle, is the sun and moon. Now, I don't believe the sun has anything to do with shadowing the moon, especially when we can see both the sun and moon right next to each other in the sky, and a shadow on the moon, clearly not being a shadow of the earth. And I'd wake up in the morning and take Chief on a walk and see them both in the sky, and I would monitor the moon throughout the day and notice how the shadow did not change. It's like the phase of the moon was locked in for the whole day, irrelevant of the sun's position. Now, we've discussed the work of Wim at Crater Earth. We've discussed the work of Sergio at Vibes of Cosmos. Both believe that the moon is a reflection of the earth. Essentially, the sun illuminating the earth and casting a projection of it back in the sky. I've made several videos on both of their work in the past, and consider it relevant in many aspects. However, it didn't answer this question as to why the moon would hold its phase or shadow throughout its whole traverse through the firmament or sky. And it wasn't until I saw this clock in Prague that is said to be one of the oldest clocks in the world that I began to understand what the moon is doing. And it's this clock. If you look at the actual clock, you will see the realm down here in the center, and then you can look at the moon here. And what you can see is that this moon has two sides. This luminary is only a half luminary, only illuminated on one side, and you can see it spinning around. Not only does it spin around the realm, but the moon itself is spinning. And this is so complex. This clock is beyond complex, especially considering that it's one of the oldest clocks in the world, still surviving. And since I make my own conclusions in life, and the mainstream explanations have fallen short, I'm left to believe that this clock is the real deal. This is what's going on up there. Why would a primitive people create such a complex clock? This is beyond simple, or something that would be necessary for keeping simple time in this time period in Prague. Rather, I think it's exactly what it seems like, a big picture clock, a true representation of our realm. And this clock wouldn't make any sense without the research. Again, not only all of my research, but everything that came before it, post 2014. And if I would have seen this before 2014, it wouldn't have made any sense. And today it makes perfect sense, especially when pertaining to the phases of the moon. Of course, like I started the video off with, I don't know. But it's because I don't know that I'm able to explore and look deeper than I would if I was just to accept everything I've been taught, most of it at a young age. So let's look at something else. And it really reminded me of a place I wanted to share today in Africa. I mean, we can just scour the realm. And some of my favorites are the unknown countries. It's one thing to go all the way to New Zealand, but it's well known. How about this country? Eritrea. Sounds kind of like a pharmaceutical drug. Eritrea. Human remains found have been dated to 1 million years ago. It was established in the 1st or 2nd century, adopted Christianity around the 4th, in the 16th, conquered by the Ottomans, Italians colonized in 1889, and Italian rule continued until 1942. I'm not sure. Nobody's ever heard of it. Here it is, Eritrea, Africa. Pretty good location, to the east of the Sudan, to the north of Ethiopia. I believe there were wars with Ethiopia, and how convenient. No doubt it was once part of it. Surely there would just be bush people out here in huts hunting gazelle, right? Wrong. Here we go. This is just one little corner building. We know the corner building well. And this place is an absolute war zone. Looks like all the 1850s pictures of all major cities today that have had time to be repaired. Looks like any old part of the Middle East, parts of Europe. I mean, we have it all here. I'm not going to go through the whole video. You can check it out. Here it is. Let's give them a thumbs up. And here we go. The columns, the arches, the mud-flooded terrain, brick everywhere. I mean, not the Africa we have been sold. And it was exactly like our 1850s pictures. He would walk into a building and it would be a cafe. Abandoned train tracks everywhere. And you can pretty much just occupy any building that you want. I mean, it's an inheritor situation here. Nobody is stopping anyone from occupying any part of this city unless it's already been taken. This city was once glorious and now lies in ruins. The inheritors did not build it. And just like all inheritors, including ourselves, the future is uncertain. It's kind of like somebody winning the lottery. Because you didn't earn that money, you most likely will lose it all. And it's the same with these countries. There's no infrastructure, there's no sewage. Water is only sold in plastic bottles, and it's more expensive than gasoline in this country. Now, if they were the rightful builders of this city, they'd be in good shape. To build a city like this, you need everything in place. Power, water, money. And it's not at all what we see here. We see absolute poverty. And real quick, I just wanted to mention that the new app is available on the Google Play Store very soon on Apple devices, probably in a couple weeks. I'll talk more about it in a future video. This Rupert group is David's friend who helped us get it going, and the app features the ability to search old historical sites on a map. It also links to my channel, showing my latest videos. Furthermore, it links to this old world catalog that many of you have contributed to help build. I really like this feature. There's a catalog of old books totally available to read in the app. You can see some of those here. A link to our book, instructions on how to use the app, and a lot more that I don't have time to go into details today, but we will explore this tool over and over. So that's it. This is just some extra little thoughts that I thought I would stick in the video. I hope you've enjoyed. I love you all. God bless, and I'll see you next week.